Have a nice day to each and everyone. I am Subekan Norhan P, and this is my report or our report, which is GRASP model for a performance assessment. So this is the our objectives. First one is to discuss the GRASP model of PA or performance assessment design with illustrations from various subject areas. Suggest a suitable task given the CS and PS. Suggest appropriate criteria and evaluating PA tasks. Then plan for performance assessments using the GRASP model. And the last one is to revise existing PAs or performance assessments using the GRASP model. So now let us dive with the idea of GRASP. GRASP is an acronym that provides a framework for designing authentic performance assessment tasks. This means the GRASP provide a structured way to create assessment tasks that are not just about recalling information, but about applying knowledge and skills in a meaningful way. Authentic means that the tasks resemble a real-world challenges and situation. And then it helps ensure that assessments are engaging, relevant, and aligned with real-world applications. So this means the goal of using GRASP is to make assessment more interesting and motivation for students to show how what they are learning connects to their lives and the world around them, and to ensure that the tasks reflect the kinds of problems and the situations they might encounter outside of school. Next is the purpose of GRASP. The purpose of GRASP is to guide the creation of performance tasks that measure understanding and application of knowledge. This means GRASP helps a teacher design the tasks that go beyond simply memorizing facts. So these tasks require students to demonstrate a deep understanding of the material and to apply their knowledge in practical, real world ways. So it's about assessing not just what students know, but what they can do with what they know. And then to make assessment more meaningful and engaging for students. So this means in a traditional assessment like multiple choice tests can sometimes feel disconnected from the real world and may not be very motivating for students. So GRASP aims to create assessments that are more relevant to students' lives and interests, making the learning process more enjoyable and meaningful. So when students see the value and the purpose of what they are learning, they are more likely to be engaged and invested in their education. So this is the GRASP acronym, which the G stands for goal, R is for role, A audience, S is situation, P product, and S is standards. So now let us proceed with the planning for performance assessments or PAs using the GRASP model. So there is the first step of planning the PAs using the GRASP. First is to identify the goal. So this is the starting point for designing a GRASP assessment. So it emphasizes that you must first clearly define what you want students to achieve or learn through the task, and then what to do. Decide the overall purpose of the task. So this means determining the main objectives or intention behind the assessment. What should students be able to do, understand, or demonstrate as a result of completing the task? So the goal should be clear, specific, aligned with the learning objectives of the unit or the course. For example, is the students will design a sustainable feeding program to address malnutrition in their community. So this provides a concrete example of what a goal might look like. It's action oriented, addresses a real world problem, and has a specific context. So there is or these are the design prompts and goal, which are the first one is your task is, then the goal is to, the problem or challenge is, and the last one is the problem. I know the obstacles to overcome are. So there is the next step or the step two and planning the performance assessment, which is the assign the role. So this step involves defining the specific role or persona that students will assume within the context of the assessment task. So what to do? Decide who students will be and the scenario. So this means determining the professional identity or perspective that students will adopt while completing the task. So the role should be authentic and relevant to the real world application of the knowledge and skills being assessed. So it encourages students to think and act from a specific point of view, which can deepen their understanding and engagement. For example, of that is students act as nutrition advocates, planners, or campaign leaders. So this provides concrete examples of potential roles within the context of designing a sustainable feeding program. So these roles each have different responsibilities and perspectives, which can add complexity and richness to the assessment task. So these are the designed prompts and step two. First is or in the role. First is you are. Then you have been asked to, and your job is. Next one, the step three, I define the audience. So this step involves identifying the specific involved or groups who will be the recipients or consumers of the student's work. So what to do? So decide who the task is for. So this means determining who will be affected by the student's work, who will evaluate it, or who will use it in some way. So the audience should be authentic and relevant to the real world application of the knowledge and skills being assessed. Defining the audience helps students to tailor their work to meet the specific needs and expectations of that group. So for example, the local barangay council and parents of children and the community. So this provides a concrete example of a potential audience for a task related to designing a sustainable feeding program. So the barangay council represents the local government and has decision making power, while the parents are directly affected by the program. So these are the prompt design or design prompts of the audience, which are your client are, then the target audience is, and the last one is you need to convince. Step 4, describe the situation. So this step involves setting the context or background for the task. So it's about creating a realistic and engaging scenario that provides a reason for the students to undertake the task. So what to do? So set the context or problem. So this means describing the circumstances, challenges, or issues that are relevant to the task. The situation should be authentic and related to the real world application of the knowledge and skills being assessed. So it should also be compelling enough to motivate students to invest in the task. For example, rising cases of malnutrition require an actionable plan to improve nutrition using limited local resources. So this provides a concrete example of situation that could be used for a task related to designing a sustainable feeding program. So it highlights a pressing problem, which is the child malnutrition, and a key constraints, which is the limited resources, which add the complexity and realism to the task. So this is the prompt or design prompt and the situation, which are the context you find yourself in is. And the last one is the challenge involves dealing with. In step 5 specify product. So this step involves determining what tangible item or performance the students will create or deliver to demonstrate their understanding and skills. So what to do, decide what students will produce or perform to demonstrate understanding. So this means identifying the specific output that students will generate as a result of completing the task. So the product should be authentic and relevant to the real-world application of the knowledge and skills being assessed. So it should also be something that can be evaluated against clear and specific criteria. So, for example, is a nutrition campaign proposal written. So this is written or in visual. So this is a written document that outlines the goals, strategies, and tactics of a nutrition campaign, as well as visual elements such as logos, posters, or social media graphics, and then a presentation or infographic to raise awareness. So this is a presentation or visual display that communicates key information about nutrition and encourages healthy eating habits. Then the next one is a small scale community feeding program plan. So this is a detailed plan for implementing a feeding program in a specific community, including information about the target population, the food to be provided, the logistic of distribution, and the budget. So this is the design prompts and product performance and purpose, which are you will create a in order to, then you need to develop so that the last steps and the planning APAs or performance assessment using or incorporating GRASP, which is the set standards or criteria. So these steps involves defining the specific criteria or standards that will be used to evaluate the student's performance or product. So what to do? Develop rubrics or success criteria to evaluate the performance. So this means creating a clear set of guidelines that will be used to judge the quality of the student's work. So these criteria should be aligned with the learning objectives of the task and should be communicated to students in advance so that they know what is expected of them. Rubrics are a common tool for setting standards and providing feedback. A site, for example, is the relevance to the goal. So this, how well does the product or performance address the overall goal of the task? And then accuracy of nutritional information. This, how accurate and up to date is the nutritional information presented in the product or performance. And then creativity and originality. So this, how creative and original is the product or performance. Does it demonstrate innovative thinking, and then organization and presentation. This how well is the product or performance organized and presented. Is it clear, concise, and visually appealing? And then the last one is a collaboration and participation. So this is how well did the students collaborate and participate in the task, did they work effectively as a team. So these are the design prompts and standard criteria for success. First is your performance needs to, then your work will be judged by, and then the last one is your product must meet the following standards.